Hey guys, welcome back to the Not Only Carrot Show. I'm Leah and today I'm going to show you what 200 calories looks like. All right, let's get started.
But first, special thanks to our sponsor, Boomerangs. Have you ever suffered from the dreaded blowout? Snapped your flip-flop straps at the worst possible moment? Yep, me too. Well, you need Boomerangs. With patented Boomerangs plugs technology, the colourful straps, combined with a natural rubber and BMZ biofoam sole, Boomerangs really are the perfect pair of flip-flops. With bonus foot arch support, a lifetime strap warranty, and interchangeable straps, you'll not only get a super comfy pair of flip-flops, but also be helping the environment and the animals, since Boomerangs are biodegradable and vegan certified. Get 15% off today with the code CARROTS. Check out the link in the description below.
Today I want to compare whole plant-based foods with store-bought processed vegan foods and see, is there a difference? Can you eat more whole foods, or is it not really that much different in terms of how much you're actually going to get in your tummy at each meal? So let's just start at the beginning. I have almost 50 foods to share with you today. So whatever you do, don't skip this video. We have so much to share and some of them are really surprising. All right, let's get started. All right, we have started at the start of the day with our breakfast cereals. In Australia, this is a standard thing for an Aussie family, a bowl of Wheat Bix, and you're gonna actually get a whole 3.5 Wheat Bix. So this is just whole wheat, and they smush it together and make a really yummy crispy cereal. They have it with some fruit and some milk. So that is 3.5 Wheat Bix. But on this side we have the Jordan's cereal. It is crunchy oat clusters and this one's the chunky nut. Really, really delicious, but whoa, lots of calories. We've only got a half a cup of the Jordan's. So you can see here comparing the 100% whole food to, you know, mostly whole food, but there is a bit of added oil and sugar as well in this. There is a little bit of sugar in the Wheat Bix, but comparatively, you're only getting that half a cup with the Jordans. Keep in mind, if you're going to add soy milk to your cereal, a cup of soy milk, so 250 milliliters, is going to give you 163 calories. That is for a full fat soy milk, but of course it'll be a little bit less if you go for one that is a light soy milk. All right, on to the next ones. Okay, we have some more cereals now. Rolled oats, you can actually get a whole 2/3 of a cup of rolled oats. I actually cooked a bowl and I just remembered I've got it in my fridge. I'll run and grab it. And I also have 1 cup here of the Be Natural cereal. The Be Natural cereal is about a cup of that cereal. So not too bad. It does contain some added sugars and things, but you're getting a decent amount of cereal there. Okay, we found the porridge. Thank you. We have 1 1/3 cups of porridge. So when you cook up the rolled oats just with water and a pinch of salt, you end up with 1 1/3 cups. I tell you what, that will really fill you up. That is a lot of porridge. So not bad for 200 calories. Okay, let's keep going with our cereals, moving right along. Okay, so we now have some other cereals. This one here, these little tiny pillows are a fruity goodness bowl cereal. I can't remember the exact name, but they have some supposed fruit inside. We actually found a lot of those pillows were empty, so I was not very impressed. But you get about 3/4 of a cup for the 200 calories. On the left here, my left, you actually can have about a cup of the Kellogg's Just Right cereal. So, you know, it's much more than you're going to get with this one. I found that this particular cereal really doesn't fill you up, and I was quite surprised at the number of calories for such a small amount of food. All right. Okay, now we're heading into toast. Who doesn't like a piece of toast with their breakfast? So we have the whole food. We'll pop that back over this side. We have the whole food bread. This is actually my homemade bread. Make sure you check out the recipe. The link's in the description below. This time we decided to halve the oil though and just stick to 1 tablespoon of oil. And so you can actually have 2 slices of my homemade bread for 200 calories. Now over here, this might be a little bit weird. You actually can eat more of the white bread than my homemade bread, which is surprising considering this is stone ground whole wheat bread. But one thing I will say is if I compare the density of this white bread to my homemade bread, this bread weighs a lot more than this bread. And fiber is the thing with your diet that actually helps you to feel satiated or feel satisfied when you eat a meal and not be tempted to overeat because you actually have reached that point of saying, I'm good, I've had enough. So let's compare the fiber now with these two plates of bread. The fiber in the white bread is only 1.6 grams for all this bread. So for 2 3/4 slices, you're only getting 1.6 grams of fiber. However, with my stone ground whole wheat bread, 2 slices, 200 calories, you're getting 4.8 grams of fiber. Woo! Go whole food. All right, moving right along. Okay, now we're going to compare lentils, which are a legume, full of fiber and really great for iron, with a store-bought mince. This is a bird's eye mince. It's a plant-based mince, and yeah, really easy to cook up. Smells amazing. I'm sitting here enjoying the fragrance as I'm sharing with you all. 200 calories is going to get me over 3/4 of a cup of lentils. It was like 0.8 of a cup. And over here, I'm only going to get 2/3 of a cup with the plant-based mince. Granted, it does come obviously with flavors, but you can add in spices and things to your lentils and it's not going to add pretty much any calories whatsoever. So slightly more with those legumes here. So not too bad. All right, let's try another one. Okay, now we're going to head into some fruit. Who doesn't like to have fruit with their breakfast? I like it. Okay, so now we're going to compare oranges and bananas. That just reminds me of a cute little kid song. Apples and bananas. You can actually have 2 medium-sized bananas for 200 calories or 1.5 large oranges. That is a lot of orange. So pretty cool to think that you can fill up on fruit and it's actually going to fill up a lot of space in your tummy, which is one of the great things about whole food plant-based eating. All right, let's go again. All right, now we're heading into a very good part of today's episode. Berries. I love berries. And it's so exciting because you can actually eat 700 grams, 5.5 cups of berries to equal 200 calories. So cool. And I tell you what, you'd be hard pressed to be able to fit all of that in. That's a lot of food. Now on the other side here, we have literally the total opposite of a whole food. I don't know, in the States, I think you guys call this stuff fruit leather. So what it is fruit mixed with sugar, and then they puree it and turn it into this, and it's really gross and sticky, and I don't even know if I can even open it. Oh, it's got pictures on it. How weird. It's even got, oh, the plastic, it's just so gross. Anyway, it normally rolls out, probably because we live in a really hot climate, it's all sticking together. Anyway, you can eat 3 3/4 of those. We call them a roll-up in Australia. Or you can eat all these yummy berries. I know which one I'm choosing. Okay, now we're getting into some interesting territory when we're talking about quantity and caloric density, how much food you can get to compare with those calories. And this one actually was one of the most surprising for me, how much you just don't get to eat if you're going to eat one of these. This is the Coles brand Ultimate Apple Pie Biscuits. I think they're called apple pie cookies, and you only get 2 piddly little cookies. Now that being said, they are very rich, and realistically you probably wouldn't eat more than 2 for your dessert, but look what you can eat. You can actually eat 2.5 of these really big apples, and these are heavy apples. Like, I am amazed at how much you can actually eat. So pretty cool, and way more fiber, obviously, being a whole food. All right, now we're going to get into another one of my favorite foods, potato. I know in the States you guys call chips French fries, but we just call them chips. If they're hot chips, then they're hot chips, and if they're not, they're chips. These are still chips, but you guys might call these crisps. So these are things you'd buy in a bag from the shop, or the store. All right, so we're going to compare our plain potato. This is just boiled potato. We've got a whole cup of potato there, and that's going to give me 200 calories. And here on the right, we've got these little slivers of crisps. So there are 37 chips in here, and they weigh about 46 grams. And over here, we've got 130 something grams. So we're talking a lot more potato in this pile over here compared to the chips. These are covered in oil. These are fresh and yummy. So interesting to see and to be careful, I guess, not to sit down and munch on a whole bag of these because you're going to be really cranking in the calories. And as a side note, even people who try to eat healthy diets sometimes slip up, as my husband and I used to way back when Australia first got Costco stores. We used to go and buy these monster bags of these kettle chips, and they were really heavy, like almost a kilo of chips. And sometimes we would sit and eat the whole bag, he and I alone. And we worked out that a bag of those chips was like 4,000 calories. So we were eating like a man's entire meal, like for the whole day. Their caloric needs were being fulfilled by our one little, silly snack at night. So don't do that. It's just a total waste. We are so lucky that we managed to not gain too much weight at that stage. But anyway, we're not doing that anymore. All right, let's get on with it. 2 more, please. All right, moving right along to corn. I don't know about you, but we really love to eat haystacks. You can check out my video about haystacks. It's like a really yummy way to make a sort of a nacho salad-y thing. It's really yummy. I'll leave a link in the description. But we like to have corn chips with those. Now, this was probably one of the most shocking discoveries. You can only eat 14, 4 for 200 calories. That is really sad, and that will not fill up your tummy, and that is not how many I have with my haystacks. I'll tell you right now, I have a lot more than that. And yeah, that is just, yes, don't do that very often. But on the other hand, if you are to cook up polenta, which is the same maize as corn chips is made from, then you can actually have 1/3 of a cup dry, or once you cook that up with some water and a little bit of salt, that becomes 2/3 of a cup to make your sort of polenta porridge. And polenta also solidifies, so if you press it into a tray, once it's solidified, you can slice it up and even bake the little polenta slices and make polenta chips and things like that. So it's a really fun way to get grains into your diet, plus being whole food, it's very high in fiber as well. Okay, 2 more, let's go. All right, so now we're gonna head into some more mock meats. One of the things I found initially when I decided to give up chicken was that chickpeas fulfilled a creaminess that chicken used to give me. So chickpeas are actually quite amazing. You can have 3/4 of a cup of cooked chickpeas for your 200 calories. On the other hand, if you want to try a mock chicken, this brand was Bird's Eye, and it's the new chicken tenders. I haven't tried them before, and I'm looking forward to trying it later on. But you can only eat 3/4 of a tender for your 200 calories. So that was a bit sad. They smell really great, but yeah, they are quite rich. So keep that in mind. If you eat 2 of those, you're going to be eating over 400 calories. So, yikes. All right, one thing we really enjoy doing in our family, because we have what we call a light dinner at night or a light supper, because our main meals are breakfast and then lunch is a bit smaller and dinner is either non-existent or very light, like fruit and crackers and stuff like that. So we like to have crackers as part of that. So looking over here, these are Vita Wheats, and these are actually a whole grain product. You can have 8 of those for your 200 calories. Or you can go with some saladas, which are another cracker. These are wholemeal, so they're based on white flour with a handful of the wheat germ and bran thrown in there. So you can have 3.5 of those, but they are lower in fiber than the Vita Wheats. Or over here, you can have the Natural Cracker Company. These are vegan. These do have honey. So these ones are the honey soy chicken, but also the salt and vinegar ones are 100% vegan. I actually wanted to have them in the show, but our shop ran out of them. Probably too popular. But these ones are a little bit sad. You only get 14 of these little crackers. They taste really, really good, but it is really easy to eat way more than 14. So 200 calories, you take your pick. And my husband rightly reminded me they're also very high in salt. So very, very much a sometimes food. All right, next ones. Okay, let's have a look at some more grains and compare our whole grains with our refined grains. So here we have our refined grain. This is our white rice. This is actually jasmine rice. So you can see the grains are a bit longer here. Comparing this is just over 1 cup of the white rice. Now over here we have just under 1 cup of brown rice, but we have the same conundrum as we had before with the bread. So we're hitting 1.1 grams of fiber compared to only 0.2 of a gram for all of that rice. So yes, they will both technically fill up the same space in your tummy, but you are going to feel more hungry even though you've eaten this amount with that white rice. Now in the middle is probably honestly one of my most favorite grains at the moment. Can't believe I'm actually saying that. I used to abhor quinoa, but for 200 calories, you can actually end up with 2/3 of a cup of cooked quinoa. So if you cook up 1/3 of a cup dry, and quinoa is really high in iron. There's like 2.5 or maybe even 2.6 milligrams of iron in a cup of cooked quinoa. So ladies, you can bump up your iron with the quinoa, plus you'll get 6 grams of fiber with quinoa. So I would just go quinoa all the way. Okay. Now we're getting into some noodles and pasta. So on my left here, we have a wholemeal pasta. So we can actually have 2 cups for 200 calories of our wholemeal pasta. Pretty cool. And over here, we have some instant noodles. This is the Indomie brand. It's the mee goreng style noodles. These were shockingly high in calories. If you cook up the whole block and just follow the directions and add in the flavorings, it actually hits a whopping 397 calories. Just for 1 block of noodles. I was just absolutely blown away. So this is only a pizzly little half a cup. My husband just said that that explains why he could live off 2-minute noodles when he was at boarding school. They gave him enough calories for the whole year. All right, and in the middle here, I have a Super Nature brand. This is just a brand new thing I saw. It's called Super Pulses Vegan Bolognese. Not sponsored, I just wanted to mention it. It is actually a frozen meal that you can buy, and I just wanted to mention it because you can have this little bowl. It comes ready-made and you pop it in the microwave. Whoop. And it's 249 calories for this entire little bowl, but it's kind of, you know, it's got lentils in there and veggies, and even the pasta is made out of green peas, so it's pretty cool. So you eat a little bit less than that to hit your 200 calories, but not a bad option, especially if you're comparing it to something like that. It's pretty boring. All right, next one. All right, now if you guys have seen my popcorn recipe episode, I'll leave a link if you haven't, you will know that popcorn is one of my favorite things to eat. I love popcorn. I even have a lot of difficulty sharing popcorn with others, but God is helping me. So on the right-hand side, I just wanted to show a portion. If you were to eat the popcorn the way I normally make it, you can only have, unfortunately, 1.5 cups of Leah's homemade popcorn. I actually do add a lot of oil to my popcorn. It does taste incredible, but it is very much a sometimes food. And 1.5 cups is pizzly, and there is no way I would only eat that much. I would eat a whole bowl of it, and I just cry when I think of how many calories that realistically is. However, on the left, this is air-popped popcorn, and there's no oil added at all. And if you do add some herbs or some yeast flakes and some salt to that, it's only going to add very tiny amounts of calories. And you can have 4.5 cups for your 200 calories. So quite a significant difference. Now, we'll mention if you want to add 1 teaspoon of oil to your air-popped popcorn, which does help those flavorings to stick if you get your spray oil out. If you say sprayed on 1 teaspoon, it will add 40 calories to your popcorn. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's see what our next foods are. Okay, now we're going to have a look at some more mock meats. I want to compare our whole food. So over here we've got tofu. Tofu is made out of soybeans. You can actually have 250 grams of tofu, which is 9 ounces. And I tell you what, that is a lot of tofu. When I make a meal for my family, we might put 300 grams of tofu for 4 people. So keep that in mind. 250 grams gives you 200 calories, so that's very low calorie food. But we compare that now to the Veggie Delights brand Not Burger. We can only have 1 Not Burger with just under 1/4 of another burger there for 200 calories. Plus, I had to fry this up in a little bit of oil. You can cook it without oil in a sandwich maker, and that will keep your calories down, but we have to add another 40 calories for that teaspoon of oil that we're having with our Not Burger. And here we have our Beyond Burger patty, and they do taste amazing, but the calories will blow your mind. If you were to eat a full patty, you're going to hit 260 calories just for 1 patty. Very sad. So today, we have to only eat 3/4 of a patty of our Beyond Burger to hit our 200 calories. All right, now we have our yummy veggies. I wanted to bring out some color as we're nearing the end of the episode. So let's have a look. Green peas, these babies are full of iron and they're really delicious, full of fiber, and you're going to be able to eat a whole cup and a half. A cauliflower, the whole head. It's like crazy. A whole head of cauliflower was 200 calories. I couldn't believe it. You just couldn't fit that in. It's just amazing. So cool. Carrots were quite amazing too. I could eat all these carrots for 200 calories. So not bad. That's like half a kilo of carrots. And lettuce was so phenomenal. I didn't even bother cutting it up. You can have 25 cups of lettuce for 200 calories. So load up on your salads and your fruits and your veggies, guys. These little babies are just powerhouses of nutrients and they're so low in calories. So if you feel hungry after a meal, don't grab the extra piece of the mock meat. Just grab some more veggies, and that way you're going to be able to feel full but not have to add extra calories to your waistline. All right, now we're heading into our oils. Now, sometimes people do ask with the whole food plant-based diet, do you have to have no oil whatsoever? And the great thing is that there are foods that contain oils that you can eat. And if you want to add a bit of oil, you know, that you're very welcome to do that, but just be aware that they are really high in calories, all of those oils. So I decided that I would show you what 200 calories of olives look like, and it's actually 20 olives, which is quite a lot of olives. My children would love to eat 20 olives in one go, but we usually try and limit it to 5 or maybe 10 if they'll squeeze it out of us, but 20 for 200 calories. But I decided that instead of showing you 200 calories of the oils, I'd just show you what 1 tablespoon, so just enough to fit in this little spoon here, and tell you about the calories that would be. So 1 tablespoon of Noodles, which is a vegan margarine, is 174 calories. For that, 3 teaspoons, like, oh, crazy. And I'll measure out a tablespoon of the extra virgin olive oil. Sometimes we think extra virgin olive oil must be better for us. So that's only that much. And that is going to give us 125 calories. That's a lot of calories. So imagine, you know, if I remember being at my auntie's place once and there was a little bowl of olive oil and you get your Turkish bread and you dip it in the olive oil, then you dip it in this stuff, I think it was called duka duka or something, and it was like crushed up nuts and herbs and spices and stuff, and it tasted so good. And you dip your next one and then dip back in there and eat it. I'll tell you what, every time you're dipping, you're probably getting half a tablespoon of oil. So your calorie count is just going to go crazy. So yeah, keep that in mind. 200 calories, 20 olives, but yeah, only a tablespoon and you're hitting like crazy numbers with these ones. All right, now we're going to talk about some more fats that we can get into our diet. Over here, we do have our processed peanut butter. This is just a standard peanut butter. I think it's Bega brand. They've got the smallest jar I could get off the shelf. Super cute little baby peanut butter, so cute. But they have added sugar and added salt and also added oil, even though peanuts have plenty of oil. But you can only eat 1.5 tablespoons of that peanut butter for 200 calories. Or if you decided to ditch the store-bought peanut butter and just have avocado instead, you can have a really hefty piece of avocado. And you probably wouldn't even really need to eat that much avocado in a day, really. So that's a half of a really large avocado for 200 calories. Or over here, I have some roasted cashews. These are roasted with sunflower oil, just a store-bought packet. You can eat about 1/4 cup of those ones. But if you go for your raw cashews, so your cashews that they don't have any salt or any oil or anything on them, you can eat about 1/3 cup of those. So adding that little bit of extra oil also adds a little extra to those calories. Okay, now I wanted to compare, just for a bit of fun as we're nearing the end, what a tomato would be compared to tomato sauce. In the States, you'd say ketchup. So you can only have 1.5 tablespoons of your tomato sauce. This entire tomato is only 30 calories. If I were to match up the number of calories, I would literally need 1 kilogram of tomatoes. Actually over. It's like 1.111111 kilograms kilograms of tomatoes. So that's a lot of tomatoes. Guys, I've got one more special item to share with you. You will be amazed and surprised and sad and a whole lot of things all at once, like I was when I figured out this one. But thank you so much for hanging in till the end of the episode. Let's get straight to it. All right, this is my absolutely delicious soy whipped cream number 2. If you've seen soy whipped cream number 1 recipe, make sure you check out number 2. It's actually going really well on my channel, so I'll leave the link in the description. This is my soy whipped cream. It's super, super thick. You can hold it upside down. It doesn't fall out of the doesn't fall out of the bowl. I was hoping it wouldn't, but no, it does. Anyway, this amount of soy whipped cream plus the little bit that's left in the bowl is actually only 1.6 tablespoons. So it's a little tiny bit more than 1.5 tablespoons. And I'm really sad to hear that because it's such a tiny bit of cream. And when you want to have it with your fruit salad or have it on, say, an apple pie or something, often you just dollop it on. But this is, in my opinion, this is smaller than what I would deem to be a dollop. This is more like a little teensy little fairy scoop. So if you like to dollop your cream, you've got to be looking at 200, maybe 400 calories for every dollop, depending on how big your dollop is. So I will end today's episode with a warning. Beware of your dollop sizes. Check out all of those whole foods, guys. Try and incorporate more of them into your diet, and yes, steer clear or be very minimal with all of those processed, refined vegan foods. They can be really tempting and they're very delicious, but it's really easy to overeat them too. All right, make sure you check out all my other videos here on the channel. Be sure to subscribe, like the video, share it with a friend, of course, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!
Oh, they smell delicious. Okay.
Bring them to me.
You want them?
Hey!
Pop, pop, pop.